Hi everyone, TG23 here, and today is an exciting day as we got our first feature premiere of the season, looking at gameplay from SDS Studios. So without further ado, let's take a look at the good, the bad, and what we have to look forward to in the next couple of months. The first thing they showed us on the stream was big zone hitting, and initially when they started talking about it, I was a bit disappointed, because it looked like essentially directional hitting. But as they got into explaining it, it actually sounded kind of neat. It's kind of a bridge gap between zone hitting and directional hitting. So for those players that are a little less experienced or maybe at a little lower skill level, this is really going to help kind of bridge the gap when they're playing a higher ranked opponent, and it should help make it a little bit more fun for them. Now there is one big caveat with this, and that's that it's not possible to get a perfect while using this method. So it's kind of like that in-between step where if you start off with directional, you'd move on the big zone hitting, and then eventually you'd move on to zone hitting. So I think it's an interesting addition to the game. It's not something I will probably be using personally, but it is a really neat idea. So I think this was a good add. This is where we get into something really, really neat. They showed off both the PCI sensitivity as well as the fixed zone PCI. Now for fixed zone PCI, I'm going to get this right, I promise. Fixed zone PCI, essentially what it does is it doesn't anchor you back to the center if you let go of the left stick. So it'll allow you to kind of move wherever you want in the zone, and your cursor will just stay wherever you left it, which is great. As far as the PCI sensitivity, I am beyond excited about this. To me, this is a real game changer for the game. It sounds like something small, but it's really, really important. This is going to let me take the control rings off of my controller as I'm playing, which is great. Control rings very much helped me with my hitting, but I really struggled in the field because it felt like I couldn't maneuver the left stick as much as I wanted to. This sensitivity is really going to make a big difference in gameplay as far as I'm concerned. After that, they got into the bear down pitching, and honestly, I think this is going to be a great addition to the game. So the way this works is it's based off your pitcher's clutch attribute. So as you can see from the list of pitches, the bear down pitching comes down the side. There's a little wheel that you're going to fill up using strikes and strikeouts, and that's going to allow you to have these special bear down pitches that you can use. The higher your person's clutch rating, the faster that little wheel is going to fill up. So you can store these and kind of use them later in the game, or you can use them as you go. So if you get in like a bases loaded situation in the second inning, you will be able to use some of these pitches that you have stored up, which is great. They add some velocity to your pitches, and they make it so that it really goes, if you execute the pitch properly, it's going to go where you want it in the zone with pinpoint accuracy. No par, just right where you want it to go, provided that you can make it work. So it's a really, really interesting idea that they've come up with. It's going to be neat to see how this implements in the show. And one of the really cool things is you'll see with the animation coming up when they go into this mode, you as the pitcher, the view changes. It kind of zooms in and you can clearly tell what you're doing. The hitter on the other side, they don't see this. So to them, this looks like a normal pitch. But to you, you know you're in bear down mode. So it's really interesting how that's going to work in the game, and I'm really excited to get my hands on that. Next, we got our first look at a Diamond Dynasty player card, which was pretty cool to get our first look. And of course, the ratings aren't finalized yet, so nothing on there is necessarily how it is. But it's a really different design this year, and I think it looks really great. I like the way things are broken out. A huge change that they've made this year is the only stats that you see on the screen are the ones that work in the mode that you're playing in. So this Wilbur Abreu here is a Diamond Dynasty card, and all of the statistics that you see have to do with Diamond Dynasty, which is really awesome. So it's broken down in a different way. They've added some categories, which is great, but also they've hidden any categories. So let's say an attribute is only for franchise and it makes no difference in Diamond Dynasty. You won't see it on the Diamond Dynasty card. Same thing for franchise. If something only has to do with Diamond Dynasty, that is all you're going to see, is the franchise element. So it's really cool. So that's how we can tell that this card is a Diamond Dynasty card, which is really, really neat. So this is probably the best example of this that they showed today. This is Spencer Strider's Diamond Dynasty card. And you can see they've added hits per 9 and K per 9 for both right and left-handed, so there's even more splits that they can do. But for anybody that's played the game over any length of time, you can notice there is no home runs per 9. Home runs per 9 is a stat that's only used for franchise. It has to do with the simulation aspect of that mode. So you can see here, home runs per 9 don't matter in Diamond Dynasty, so they no longer show on Spencer Strider's card. Whereas if you were to look at the actual franchise card, you're going to see those statistics in there. So I think it's neat that they finally hidden statistics that have nothing to do with the mode that you're playing. I think this is a subtle tweak, but it's something that's going to make life a little easier as you're navigating through the show this year. Now, this was one of the things they showed off that I'm really excited about to take online. They showed us some of the new catcher animations that they've hung, and you can see on the screen just how much smoother this is. So I'm really hoping this is going to be an equalizer in the running game this year, so it's not going to be essentially a lock that when you're playing somebody online that they can kind of run on your catcher as ease no matter what. Pop time being an attribute is going to help. The way they kind of explained it is most of the catchers are going to be in like the average pop time range, which is about 1.95 seconds. But the really elite catchers are going to be about 1.7-ish seconds. So if you have a catcher with a good pop time number, you're going to get that smooth animation and you're going to get that throw much faster, which in theory could shut down the run game. So if this works as they kind of showed it to us today, I think you might start to see some defense first catchers in the game again, as opposed to just offense because catcher defense didn't matter. This could be game changing to playing online, and you might see a lot of people this year with a low hitting number 9 catcher who's just throwing darts to get runners on second base. So depending on how that's implemented, that could be a lot of fun. This was probably the most controversial part of the video. They went over PCI shrinkage, and I know this is a very, very hot topic among the community. A lot of people feel like this is the reason for the switch hitter meta that's in the game, because if you throw a down and away slider, your PCI shrinks. And they kind of went over this with us today, and they showed that this is actually something they put in the game intentionally. Now, the reason that they gave was that they wanted to get away from those consistent foul 12 pitch at bats. So they give you PCI shrinkage if you can hit that tiny spot on the outside corner with a slider. I completely understand why this frustrates people, but I can also completely understand why SDS does it this way, because a down and away slider is much harder to hit. I think the answer to this is actually more PCI shrinkage. You have the down and away slider, which definitely plays to switch hitters, because you'll never be in a situation where it's going to be that hand in that direction. But I think from the time I started watching baseball to now, the most dangerous pitch in baseball is the top corner inside fastball. So I think if you implemented something like PCI shrinkage on that top corner on the inside, it would neutralize some of the switch hitter meta, because no matter what, you're always going to have that inside corner available. So it's one of those things that I think if they actually implemented this wider into the game, it would help with the switch hitter meta. But it was nice they at least provided an explanation. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy with the explanation, but at least it shows they're listening to us and they're talking to us. So they gave their reason for why things are this way. So we're not being ignored, and they know this is happening. So it was nice they touched on it, but I know there's going to be a lot of people that are very, very unhappy with this. And this is the last thing that I'm going to touch on from the video, but it was the thing that really blew me away, and it might sound like something very, very minor, but to me playing online, I think this is going to be a huge help. They've added a setting where you can actually blur the outfield. So you can see how you can clearly see the 4 infielders, the umpire, and the pitcher, but they've blurred out the background of this, and it looked really great on the stream when they showed it, and to me, being able to pick up the ball out of the pitcher's hand with this blurred background, I think is going to make a huge difference. This is the thing I'm really excited to get my hands on. And again, it might seem like a tiny, tiny tweak, but to me, if that clears up being able to pick up the ball out of the pitcher's hand just that little bit faster, this is going to be amazing. So very, very excited. I was not expecting to see this today, but this definitely made my day. And those were my highlights from the SDS feature premiere today. I didn't cover everything that they went over today, but I went over some of the big things, the highlights, and the things that I'm going to think are going to have the biggest impact on the game moving forward. They did not provide us with a new schedule, but they did say they'd be back every week from now until the game comes out at 5 o'clock Eastern Time 2 o'clock Pacific time. So we can expect one of these every week, and they did let us know that next week will be the feature premiere on Road to the Show. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please give the video a like. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be back with all of the news this cycle and hopefully some gameplay footage as soon as the game comes out. So I'll be back with you soon, and I'll talk to you later.